Coming up, I've got your tropical outlook through mid-May in our area if I see any issues, plus a wet week ahead. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo on this Sunday. Hope you've been having a great weekend. Coming up in this video, it's going to be a little bit different. Going to kind of break it into two parts. The first thing I want to highlight is we're going to take a look at what I expect in a broad perspective, tropical-wise, in our area between now and mid-May. We're going to take a look at some models and kind of the current setup and situation, and if there's any areas that I'll be watching as we get into the next month. Of course, I'll also have the current forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas and talking about some wet weather for some of us here. So I'm actually going to create a couple of chapters. You'll see that in the description below. If you're interested in just what's happening now across the Caribbean, you can see that in the chapters and be able to skip ahead. But we'll start this video out with a look again at the tropics over the next couple of weeks in our area. And as we do so, thank you so much again for liking this video. If you've been looking for the forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you found your home here at Meteo Mundo. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Okay, let's get started. Again, I want to begin with kind of what's happening right now and how that is going to kind of play out as far as how that could impact any tropical disturbances trying to develop between now and mid-May. Remember, we've said goodbye to El Nino. We are now beginning a La Nina phase, and we are seeing cooler ocean temperatures developing off the west coast of South America. So La Nina has begun. And again, these water currents, they're global, so they do impact what we see in the Caribbean, in the Western Atlantic, and the Gulf of Mexico. Typically, a La Nina pattern brings less wind shear to our area. So wind shear, again, rips apart tropical storms as they try to develop. With less wind shear, there's less of that wind that's going to be shearing and ripping apart those storms as they get going. So it typically leads to more tropical activity. Last year in El Nino, we saw the impacts of that wind shear rip apart some of those storms. With a La Nina pattern, that typically is not present. And those storms can develop unabated, and sometimes they develop very rapidly because of that as well. One of the other ingredients that I'm closely monitoring are ocean temperatures. I've talked a lot about this in previous videos. These ocean temperatures are outrageous. They are exceptionally hot for this time of the year. Most areas, temperatures in the ocean are running like they should be in late summertime, especially in portions of the Caribbean. Near the Central American coastline, portions of central and the western sides and coastlines of Jamaica, and even as we get into May, around the Lesser Antilles, you're seeing some sea surface temperatures in the upper 20s Celsius to near 30 degrees Celsius. That's extremely hot ocean temperatures. That's like putting fuel on a fire when you're talking about the potential for tropical development. It's just extremely toasty outside right now. So now let's look at the models and what the models are showing between now and mid-May. And again, this is still just a snapshot at a point in time now. Things can change, but we can kind of start to see the transition into this tropical season for us here. So I first want to start off with our wind vectors. You're simply looking at the wind direction across our area between now and mid-May, and some of the areas and some of the things that I want to highlight. The first thing I want to talk about is, even as we get into late April, early May, we still see these cold fronts, these mid-latitude cyclones come off the United States East Coast. Typically speaking, they weaken up a little bit, but every so often we get what we call a trough, and on the tail end of that trough, we can get a bit of a spin up, and I've seen a couple of these here. Now, Bermuda, again, is going to continue to see a very windy forecast, and even portions of the Bahamas will catch some of this as well. There's one little feature that I'm going to be watching to see if it actually does play out here, and you can start to see that come in basically the second week of May. It's on the base of that trough. Now, generally speaking, here it comes. It's going to wrap back up and move north and east, but there will be at least some broad weak level rotation potentially coming in with one of the fronts that's going to be kind of just falling apart here in the Western Atlantic the second week of May. There's not a lot of wind energy with it. You don't see strong winds, but again, a big flip in the winds is possible in this area here. And again, that could even turn our winds in portions of the Bahamas and the greater Antilles out of the north into the east. So just an interesting feature to keep an eye on. We have had a massive blow up of showers and storms off the northwest coastline of South America over the last week. And this is an area I continue to see a lot of wind energy and a bit of twist, a bit of rotation as well. So I want you to look at this. The first thing is that I still think we're going to get a lot of heavy rain for this part of South America through Panama and Costa Rica, just like we have been seeing. Just a lot of energy coming out of this. You notice that, again, there's a twist in these winds right here as we get into May 7th, May 8th. And remember, the ocean surface temperatures here are some of the hottest that we're seeing in our area, right around 30 degrees Celsius in some spots. It can certainly support tropical development. One good piece of information, though, is that the winds in this area are very light. So even though I see some twist and some rotation, we're going to take a look at what's called vorticity coming up more. It's more, overall spin in the atmosphere. At the surface, the winds are not very strong where we try and have this spin. As a matter of fact, what kind of tends to play out here is that some of this dives back down into the Pacific, and it just kind of sits there, and that's why we could have some extremely heavy rain in this area. But there's just, a lot of wind energy. You can see these pinks and purples, that's 30-knot winds coming off of the ABC Islands here, kind of diving down towards Panama and Costa Rica. There's a lot of wind energy in the southwest Gulf of Mexico and the western Gulf of Mexico in general. And this is an area that if we do get tropical development in May, this is typically one of the hot spots, all right, one of the more prime areas of development. And I'm just seeing a lot of wind continuing to be pumped into this region. Again, sea surface temperatures aren't as hot in the Gulf of Mexico, but they're still hotter than average and can support some potential tropical development. So that's another area to be monitoring here. As far as the rest of the Atlantic goes, again, we're going to stay mainly with our easterlies. Again, it's very interesting that the model tries to drive in a northeast breeze as far south as portions of the Lesser Antilles. It means it's a pretty potent storm system. A lot of that wind energy is going to stay to the north, which is very typical for mid-May. I mean, look at that next one coming off there on the 14th. But you can see, again, a couple of spins to be monitoring. This one, though, is a weaker one, but fresh easterlies will continue. And as I have mentioned, that is going to drive in more moisture and overall rain chances going up. We've talked about it in previous videos as well, that overall our area looks to be wetter than normal over the next month. So let's get into that vorticity product here, okay? So what you're looking at is anywhere you see greens on this map, there is some spin in the environment. Now, when you have a much stronger chord system, this is what you get out of this model. It's very clear to see. Again, these are mid-latitude cyclones that aren't tropical in nature, okay? They're still cooler chord systems moving back up into Canada, which we expect in May. But again, I want to get back down into this area here. You can see that there is some twist, some spin here, but at this point in time, everything seems to be very weak. But it's not out of the question that a very small system and a smaller scale might try and blow up, or we have more blow up of showers and storms in this area here, because again, the wind shear is not strong as well. So even though we don't have a lot of stronger winds, we also don't have a lot of wind shear to wrap things up. This is just an area that I'm interested in closely monitoring based on what I'm seeing on the models over the next 15 days or so. Generally speaking, for the Lesser Antilles, we have more straight winds here. Again, you can see when you start to see these little pinks and purples here. Let me pause that and get back to it here. See if you see that right there, that's true vorticity, meaning there's some spin there out of that. Now, it's pretty elongated in nature. More than likely, that's along what we call a trough, rather than something that's more cyclonic in nature. But again, I look at these models almost each and every day, especially over the last couple of weeks, but really honestly for the last couple of months here, because again, I wanted to kind of start to prepare things as we get into the beginning of May, because it's not out of the question that we could see something try and get going. Here's a nice little spin again here coming off of the United States East Coast. You can see that, that big old wrap up there. Again, that's cold chord in nature, but again, could we twist up something in a subtropical nature out of this? looks like we're going to have several chances. And a subtropical system, meaning it's a hybrid storm, it's not truly tropical in nature, but it has some tropical characteristics, is something that we watch for in the Western Atlantic, especially when these systems get off towards the Gulf Stream waters, and those water temperatures are very warm. Again, the Gulf Stream up the United States East Coast is very, very warm. So those are some of the areas, those are some of the things that I'm going to be watching for us here over the next couple of weeks. I don't see anything that makes me go, you know, we got to really watch this, but there are a couple of interesting features to keep an eye on, and you know I've got you covered here at Meteo Mundo. So I hope you enjoyed that segment. If you did, thanks so much for liking that part. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get into what's happening in our area right now. So we'll start off with what's going to be going on this Sunday afternoon. We're going to take a look at our broad visible satellite imagery first here. And again, we continue to see flare up of heavier rain in some areas where it's been very wet. I'm talking about the Dominican Republic, portions of Haiti, Puerto Rico, portions of the Virgin Islands, and portions of Jamaica. Will continue to see a fairly wet forecast as well. Let's start off with what's happening right now with your winds, because I do want to mention here, and hopefully these will pop on in just a second, that we have some exceptionally strong winds in portions of the Bahamas. There's a gale warning in effect for portions of the Bahamas between now and the end of Sunday. Now, I don't see any strong winds being reported for Walker's Key and Freeport and Nassau as we speak, but you can see that at the low levels, we have a brisk easterly wind. And I mentioned this in Friday's video, offshore waters, easterly long period swells will continue. Sheltered areas still look pretty good, but for my friends in the Northwest Bahamas, again, you get outside of those sheltered locations, you got yourself some good wind. Winds have continued to be just steady and strong through the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Nothing extremely outrageous. We've had a 26-mile-an-hour wind gust there at Charlotte-Amalie and St. Thomas. We've had some winds that have been very sustained in that 20-mile-an-hour range from St. Croix towards San Juan and Isabela and Aguadilla there and the northwest sides of Puerto Rico. So again, showers continue to develop here. Showers continue to develop over Hispaniola. It's going to be another wet day. I still have flood concerns for these areas, and it's not just for today, it's over the next 5 days as well. Jamaica going to get in on the act, and we're going to talk more about Jamaica's forecast coming up, but you can see some of these clouds moving in here. I'm going to throw on the current temperatures as well. And again, we're starting to see the heat transfer and bubble up into some isolated rain, and rain chances will actually only be going up. But until it does so, it's steamy in Kingston right now. They've gone well over 90 degrees. Feels like temperatures above 100. Elsewhere across our area, again, it is area dependent, but it's been mainly dry for most of the Lesser Antilles, and it's getting toasty there as well. It's been very hot and mainly dry in the ABC Islands. And again, you can see kind of the flare up of the showers and storms pushing now south into the Pacific. Hot for my friends in Belize. Places like San Ignacio have hit 97. We could have some triple-digit heat inland sides of Belize today and tomorrow. Belize City right in at 90 degrees. Cancun coming in the upper 80s. Same thing for my friends in portions of the Cayman Islands as well. Real quick look again at the wind gusts just to kind of wrap this up here for any interest. Very breezy conditions have been developing across the Yucatan and portions of Belize. And elsewhere, again, it's been a steady wind. We've had some strong winds in Cuba, but a steady wind, but nothing outrageously breezy on this Sunday. Now, again, we're looking at the enhanced satellite imagery, and I always look at this to see that blow up, that cluster of storms. Again, you can see that developing over Panama. And this is going to be a trend over the next couple of weeks. And so that is why this is an area that I'm just going to be watching. The Southwest Caribbean with weak wind shear, although it's fairly light winds. Does anything just try and sneak up on us in that area? Let's talk about some of the heavier rain happening right now. Let me get the gusts off of there real quick. I'm going to switch over to the San Juan radar on this Sunday afternoon. And I just continue to see showers push across the region, all right? They're spotty in nature, but there's been some downpours, and the movement of these have mainly been from east to west for today. This is just going to loop over the last 30 minutes or so, but we've had showers over the British Virgin Islands. the U.S. Virgin Islands, even St. Croix from time to time, the eastern side of the islands, and just scattered rain continues to develop in this region. Right now, some of the heaviest shower activity is going to be on the south side of the island, Guayama, on over towards Ponce, Yauco, and then moving off towards the south and to the west. But additional showers just continue to develop. Look, it's going to stay wet. Carolina and San Juan, showers will continue to develop. And again, some of the heaviest rain and the most widespread rain will actually occur during the evening hours. And this is a region that is just going to stay on the wetter side. It's just going to be a very wet forecast. I know I feel like I've mentioned this for like the last week, but for yet another 5 days ahead, we're just going to stay with a trend where the rain is just not going to really end up going anywhere. So let's get into that. And as we do so, again, thank you so much for liking the video here. I need to switch this model back to just 5 days, and then we'll get into it here. Let's see. Perfect. And let's see here. All right, good. So this is the rain over the next 5 days across our region. And again, a couple of areas to highlight. We're going to take a look at everyone's forecast. I promise you there. We're going to start off with what I expect to be happening. Actually, I will get to you guys in Jamaica just 1 second. I realize the order of graphics that I put things in. So let's get into my friends in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. I first of all just want you to see, letting this loop over the next 5 days, how wet you are going to stay. There will be many hours where we're going to have some showers. It's been good to hear of not a lot in the way of flash flooding, but again, that concern sticks with me here with the excessive heavy rainfall potential I expect between now and mid next week. And really, the model tries to flare up even some heavier rain towards Wednesday and Thursday. So look, as we get into, the next couple of days, spotty or heavy rain gets going, but then Wednesday, this is Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, and then Thursday, wet again. So it's not like I think we're going to shut off this faucet anytime soon. Puerto Plata, Santiago de los Caballeros, Samana, Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, all of the Dominican Republic with heavy rainfall potential. Doesn't mean, again, you're going to see flash flooding. It's very area dependent. But you should expect just a wet forecast here and the possibility of several more inches of rain in your area between now and Thursday night. For Santo Domingo, it's honestly quite hard to slice up this forecast instead of just saying, look, it's going to stay wet. I think we might slightly dry out tomorrow as far as coverage goes, but then we're right back into showers being likely with some heavy rain, especially Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures, because of that, will be in the upper 80s, maybe even some mid 80s. It's going to still feel pretty steamy before that rain develops out there. But again, this is a wet forecast from our friends from Santo Domingo to Punta Cana to the northern and the eastern sides of the coastline. It will begin to dry out a bit starting on Friday of the week ahead, but even then, we're still going to see some rain in play. And just to kind of show you a broader perspective here, again, we still have this trough axis from west to east. It is going to slowly try and move up north and east, but remember, we're also tapping into moisture coming off of the South American coastline, as we highlighted in Friday's video, so that's an extra layer of moisture moving back in. The rain may not be as heavy in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands over the next 5 days, but your rain chances are about the same as the Dominican Republic, about a 50 to 70% chance each day, passing showers with the strong breeze. Passing showers with the strong breeze. It means the rain may not stick around in any one location for very long. That's good news as far as any flash flooding potential. But again, everything is wet. All the soil is saturated here. So for St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John and Puerto Rico, I'm keeping a close eye on you. Anguilla and St. Bartholomew, Barbuda, Antigua, all with scattered shower chances here over the next 5 days. There's not any bullseye here for the northern side of the Leeward Islands, for St. Kitts and Nevis and Saba and Montserrat, but you should expect there to be some rain. Hey, at least the air quality is better, right? We've improved the Saharan dust layer. It's finally gone away, so we're looking at least better there. Guadeloupe, scattered showers. Dominica south, the rain becomes more sparse. Not going to rule out a few passing showers with our easterlies for places like Martinique and St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados. but many dry hours and locations. Right now, there's no marine issues. I'll monitor that. You get down towards Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago, again, isolated showers, a rogue shower or two, 10 to at best a 20% chance for showers over the next 5 days, maybe slightly higher for Trinidad. We could see a little bit of moisture eke off the mainland there, but I don't have big hopes for heavier rain there. Now again, the ABC Islands had some good passing showers late last week. It's going to be a little bit drier. I still have optimism that we're going to pull in a few showers here off the mainland, but we still have our easterlies more than anything. And so it might be a little bit of a struggle for some of this rain to work its way up to the north. Heavy excessive rain will continue for places like Panama and Costa Rica. Jamaica ends up being a very interesting forecast. My friends in Jamaica. So you're looking at one of the models here. I'm going to show you a different model coming up. There's not a lot of agreement in the models for your rain chances. I am optimistic rain chances will be going up over the next 5 days, kind of just building each and every day. I think we're going to see some isolated showers for the remainder of our Sunday afternoon. And if you catch one of these showers, let me know in the comment section below. I think rain chances begin to try and improve starting on Monday through the rest of the week. So again, you can see an isolated shower or two for the rest of today through tomorrow. This is Tuesday, isolated rain. Here's Wednesday. This is one of the models that is drier. You just don't see anything concentrated, but no day is completely dry. But again, I look at a lot of different things before I jump on. And so I want to show you a model that I'm agreeing with a little bit more here. And I'm going to throw on that and I'm going to loop it up. Might take just 1 second again to fully loop, but what you're going to end up seeing here is just where I believe to be a little bit more of a play, because you can see on our NAM model here that that trough in the easterlies continue to develop more widespread rate. And I think that's more than likely going to happen. So it's about as wet on this model for Santo Domingo, all the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It's wetter for places like the Turks and the Caicos, and then it's certainly wetter for places like Jamaica, where we could see more heavier rain, more concentrated rain, and even a rumble of thunder as we get into, say, Monday, Tuesday, and early on Wednesday. So in this area, you've been looking for some rain. There's tomorrow's forecast. Again, this model just basically takes the moisture in the atmosphere. It has more lift. It has a better opportunity for showers. And you see yellows and oranges. That could be some heavier rain for the island as well. This is Monday. And again, at least some spottier showers back into the forecast. So for Jamaica, I've kind of split the rain chances overall. But again, I have a little bit more agreement with the wetter model. That's good news. We've been looking for the showers. So 30% chance for showers the remainder of this Sunday, 40% chance for tomorrow, and then upping the rain chance a bit Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Enough instability where we could actually see a few thunderstorms develop on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons. Very humid still before the rain develops. Temperatures could still sneak into the lower 90s just depending on when that rain develops. If you can catch the showers by, let's say, lunchtime into the early afternoon, temperatures for daytime highs might actually be able to stay in the lower 80s. That would be good news for us here. Okay, let's get into what's going to be happening here across the rest of our area. You can see that scattered showers will try and still persist along portions of the Belize coastline. It's mainly going to be confined to the coastal areas. I've already mentioned San Ignacio in the upper 90s today. I think they'll be in the upper 90s for tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a couple of showers to cool things off here. But again, morning coastal showers, nothing very concentrated, many dry hours and locations. But again, spotty rain up and down the coastline. Cancun, Cozumel look pretty good. This is just kind of in between. I think a few showers there the next couple of days, and then we'll begin to dry out a bit. We're looking like we're going to catch some showers in the Cayman Islands. Again, not extremely concentrated, but just like Jamaica, your rain chance should begin to improve starting on Monday through Tuesday and Wednesday with some spotty showers across the islands. But overall, it's a nice forecast from our friends in the Cayman Islands. And then again, for the Bahamas. Still mainly dry, all right? There's just not a big front coming in this time of the year, and so we might actually pick up a bit more of a south wind to throw in a bit of that moisture. Again, this model is a little bit more aggressive in trying to build that moisture back up to the north. The winds should diminish in our area starting tomorrow. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at that while we got a quick second here. Let me switch over. We'll go over to wind gusts. I'm going to load that up. Because again, the wind was a big story in this area for today, and my boating friends know what we're talking about there. So again, This is our high resolution model. You can see the fresh winds over 20 knots from time to time. There's some weaker winds beginning to come back in, and so things will calm down. Shelter locations were still just fine, but small craft should have a better time of it starting on our Monday. Now, as far as rain chances go over the next few days, let's loop that up for you here. And again, spotty showers are possible, mainly a southeast to northwest trajectory, but there is nothing that's going to be concentrated. So even if you catch a shower in Arthurstown or Nassau or Marsh Harbor or Freeport or Lucaya, it's not going to linger very long, all right? I wouldn't be concerned about changing any outdoor plans, but you can see that there's some moisture to play with here to provide us a couple of showers over the early part of the week. And again, this is because we're trying to drag in some of that moisture from the east and the south. No big cold front, no system coming in out of the north, so we don't have to concern ourselves with that. All right, let's take a look at the total precipitation. And again, for the last couple of days of April into early May, this is exceptionally wet weather. It really is. And again, this elongated west to east area where this moisture plume just sticks around continues to provide higher rain chances. And I want to be clear, this is the model that is drier for Jamaica. And yet it still, over the next 5 days, paints on more than 1.5 inches of rain for Kingston. And Ocho Rios looking pretty good there. Let's see if that pops on. There you go. Mandeville, Maypen area, on over towards Westmoreland Parish and St. Elizabeth. We're looking at a good 2 inches of rain there. Montego Bay, 1 inch. There's Negril, maybe right around 1 inch of rain. But a nice little bullseye, again, of some good rain totals in this area. Old Harbor, Portmore, Spanish Town, Port Antonio, about 1.4. Again, over the next 5 days, solid numbers for my friends in Jamaica. The numbers are even, again, more impressive here throughout portions of the Dominican Republic. Looks like there we go. It was kind of hanging up for me just 1 second. But again, the model still says, look, the heaviest rain is in interior locations. It's clear to see that. But it doesn't mean we can't shift that higher rain total north or south. But when you're looking at potentially up to a half foot of rain in a couple of spots, it is obviously slightly concerning, all right? Samana, more than 3 inches of rain. Punta Cana, maybe close to 2. And again, we don't look at one specific point. We want to average this out because these locations are pretty close together. So what I would say is 2 to 5 inches of rain through a lot of the Dominican Republic between now and late on Wednesday. Still some heavier rain for portions of Haiti as well. Still some 2 to 3 inch totals there, maybe even a little bit higher as you get to some of the higher terrain east of Port-au-Prince. For my friends in San Juan and the rest of Puerto Rico, again, northern coastline, eastern coastline, nice little bullseye there. Esperanza over 2 inches. But again, we're looking at, when we average this out, 1 to 2+ inches of rain, maybe slightly lower than that in a couple of spots. Still going to be wet. St. Croix over 1 inch of rain. St. Thomas 1.5 inches. Tortola and Roadtown over 1 inch of rain, maybe 1.5 inches as well. Again, solid rain. I hope this bulk stays up towards the north. My friends in Anguilla, 1.5 inches of rain. Same thing for St. Martin and St. Bartholomew and Saba coming in just under 1 inch. Barbuda, you know, again, anywhere you see these blues, it's going to be between about a 1/2 inch, maybe up to 1 inch of rain. That purple is your inch kind of line there. Maybe Dominica and Martinique get in on that as well. And again, we could catch a little heavier shower there over Barbados. It's going to be isolated in nature, but maybe we catch some of those showers. Trinidad, Tobago, again, a little spottier, but I'm actually happy to see even a 1/2 inch of rain here because some of the models make it even drier than that. ABC Islands, not a ton of rain here for us, but again, maybe we catch a 1/4 inch of rain over the next 5 days for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Again, exceptionally wet weather through portions of Panama and the northwest sides of South America, and then up the coastline here for our friends in Belize and Cancun and Cozumel. Once again, Belize City, about a 1/4 inch of rain or so. Catch a couple of heavier showers for Cancun and Cozumel, maybe up to 1 inch in a couple of spots there. Isolated downpours for Georgetown and Weston and the Cayman Islands. It's about a 1/2 inch of rain for most of you. But again, in a general sense, this is some wet weather for us here. I'm not going to leave you out. Turks and Caicos, Southeast Bahamas. I got you covered. Little bullseye there. There's Matthewtown 1 inch. There's Cockburn about a 1/2 inch as well. So you get the idea. Pretty solid numbers. Again, relatively dry in the Northwest Bahamas. Friends, you can find us throughout all of social media. You know, I appreciate you. Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video to use on one of these YouTube videos, that's mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Also, any business-related questions as well. Again, thank you so much for liking this video. Thank you so much for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. Of course, I'm going to keep you covered across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I will see you tomorrow right here at Meteo Mundo.